Hi, Jackie here with New Moon Oracle. If you like my videos, please like, subscribe, and share. I hope that this helps you in your battle with a narcissist. One thing that I wanted you to understand about narcissists is that the mask that they wear is so well crafted. They are unable, because of their disconnection from Source, from their God light, they are unable to have the what we would call natural emotions of a person who's connected with God. And they are the things that seem to us to be the most commonplace things that you would expect every human to have. For example, empathy. They don't have it. And so what they have learned to do over years of trying to adapt into their society, because if they walked around being their true selves and didn't wear the mask, nobody would want anything to do with them. And that is the reality of it. And so, what I want to tell you today is that if you've been fooled by the mask of the narcissist, forgive yourself. For they're very cunning and they're very deceptive and deceitful. And they're also aided by dark energies. So, not only are these people giving you a false reality, of a mask, if you will, they are being guided by their unconscious, which, when you are not following the light in your heart, which allows you to do things in life that truly make you happy, but make other people happy as well. When you don't have that in you, you don't have the ability to work from your heart chakra, your heart space, whatever you want to call it. They must completely function from their unconscious. And what I mean by that is their programming, their mind and their emotions. One thing that I know as a person that is connected with the Christ consciousness and with my higher self, God, whatever you want to call it, I know that I need to listen to that part of me more than the brain and the emotions. I am not my mind. I am not my body. I am a heart-centered light from Christ. And when you're not that, all you can do is function from the mind, the ego, the emotions. And these people don't have the same emotions that normal people have. They have the low vibrational emotions, which are anger, greed, envy, hate. You can think of probably 100 of those low vibrational energies. And those are the emotions that these people feel. Now, I'm not saying you'll never see them laugh or seem like they are enjoying something, but I can guarantee you that it is not genuine, because they are incapable of being genuinely empathic, genuinely full of joy, because they have lost their spark with Christ. They have lost it. It is so dim that they are no longer connected to Source. And so the mask that they create is very well orchestrated, because they have had to look around the world and see, how does a normal person with empathy, with humanity, with love in their heart react. So you will see, and I'll give you some examples to kind of ground this idea. I used to see my ex-husband watch my reaction and then follow suit. So in other words, we would be at an event and we'd be watching the kids play a sporting event. And he would just sit there. He wouldn't cheer, he wouldn't do anything, he would just sit there. And then if something happened that made me really proud of the child, like maybe they scored a goal, or maybe, he went out and helped his teammate, and I was really proud of that, and I would cheer and I would get happy. I would notice him mirror my reactions. And it was something that I just noticed after time. And what it is they are creating that mask. They don't know how to react to a child showing empathy to another teammate. Like that didn't even register on his wavelength. But when he saw me react to it, then he somehow felt like that's the way you're supposed to react when somebody does this. And what I noticed was he started doing that when it wasn't even appropriate. Like one of our children would do something that seemed to him, maybe that was empathic or maybe that was kind. And I would see him react and then look at others to see the reaction. So to me, it was very evident being so close to this person of how disingenuous he was being. And I think this is the thing that really tricks empaths and really keeps us in a state of questioning ourselves versus questioning that person. Because what I found was I kept trying to understand why I didn't see the mask. Why and how could I have dated this person, spent this much time with this person, gotten to the point where we married, and I was so enmeshed with this person and didn't see the mask until it was too late? That is not you, my friend. That is the narcissist who has learned to put on this mask over years of practice. Some of these people have been broken this way since they were very young. And it's very sad. It really is. But that's what kept me stuck, you see. I kept getting stuck on the fact that this person was so broken and their life was so difficult that they had to make this mask and I just kept insisting that I needed to love this person more. That they would see how wonderful it is to have the joy of God in your heart. But you can't save anyone. All you can do is show your light, and then they can take with it and do with it what they want. And in my case, and maybe in yours too, if you're dealing with a narcissist, is that they take all right, and they will keep taking, and they will keep taking. And that mask will eventually start to slip because nobody, even the best narcissist, cannot keep it up forever. And what they usually will do, almost always do, is they will put you in a situation where they wear the mask long enough for you to put your guard down. You start to fall in love with them. You start to fall in love with their children. You start to imagine yourself in a relationship. You start picturing your future together. And what they do is they wear that mask the best that they can until they have you hook, line, and sinker. And maybe that's emotionally, maybe that's spiritually, maybe that's financially. It can be all or not, or one of the above. But once they realize that they have you in their net, that's when you will see the mask start to fall. And I can get really into that conversation about the mask. I mean, there's so much to say about it, but what's really important for you to know and for you to remember is that you are not a fool for falling for the mask. Okay? It is not your fault. And one thing that is really weighs on my heart very much is the way that society likes to blame the victims. You know, when you don't have proof, when you're with a narcissist, you don't have proof that they're wearing a mask. It's very difficult to explain to someone that I met this person and now I have this person. And this person who looks exactly the same as he ever did to everybody because that mask is put on as soon as they walk out the door. Why is it that I'm seeing this other person that nobody else can see? And that's the trickery, my friend, and that is how the dark entity gets you, because what happens is The mask that they wear for you to land you is the same mask they've been wearing for everyone, the neighborhood, the family, the job. And the mask might slip a little bit in other situations. But if your mask slips at work, you can recover that very quickly, right? I was had a bad day and, I fought with my wife and whatever. But when you live with someone who's a narcissist, their true colors cannot hide from you because you are with them all the time. You see them in their good and their bad. And when I say good and bad, I mean that when they are not being challenged, when everyone is just marching in line like a good little soldier, then they will appear with a mask. Oh, I'm just, so and so, and I'm just a nice guy, and I'm always smiling and laughing and saying hi to everybody. That is the mask. And when you see what no one else sees, they will start punishing you for it because they don't want you to see it. They know they can't uphold the mask all the time. So then what they start to do is create an illusion that you are seeing something that isn't there. You're emotional. You're expecting too much. You're so needy. I was good enough for you 2 years ago. Now you want me to change. No, I didn't want him to change. I wanted him to stop being cruel to me. And yes, I did want that person that I married. I did want the mask, but not if it wasn't genuine. And so what you start to realize is that the genuine person that tricked you is the person you see on the daily. It's not the person wearing the mask. And I was so lost that I would look forward to the moments in public with my ex because it was the only time that he ever treated me with any decency. We would go to a party, we would go to events, and he would act the part. Pull out my chair, talk highly of me, do all of these things that seemed so kind that I would actually look forward to going to things with him because that's the only time I got it. And I know that sounds really sick, but it's the truth. And then what I soon came to realize was, wait a minute, if he can turn it on and off like this, if we can go to a wedding and he can behave so nicely to me, but the minute we get in the car to drive home, I start getting yelled at, you're able to turn this off and on. You're no longer able to use your mask on me. You can no longer use the excuse that I had a bad day, my life sucked, you don't know what I'm going through. Doesn't matter. Because the mask that you wore was disingenuous and it was never love and it was never kindness. And that is something that's really hard to accept and understand when you have devoted your life to this person and you were fooled. So there's a lot of emotions that come as you start to experience that this mask is truly a mask. And instead of looking at that person, what narcissism is able to do, along with the dark entity that it is accompanying, is it's able to make you think you are the problem. And it starts with guilt and shame. Guilt and shame are not emotions, they're states of being. And they are placed on you by dark entities and narcissists and people with bad intent. Let me explain this. When I would go to a party with my ex, he loved to go to events because let's face it, he could pretend to be the person he wasn't. He could enforce the I'm the good guy. And I will never forget this. We went to a 4th of July party and I was not feeling well. I had a lot of health issues with my neck. And we were sitting out in the damp weather. It was getting to be midnight. We saw the fireworks. We were at a person's home, person with a lot of money, and they threw off their own fireworks. had this big party. It was a very beautiful party. But I was starting to feel extremely uncomfortable. I had a headache, my neck hurt. It was past midnight. And so I looked at my husband and I said, we really need to leave now. I'm not feeling well. People are starting to leave. We need to go. And do you know what he did? He went into the host and said, would you like some help cleaning up tonight? My wife and I would love to help. So I'm packing my stuff and putting it in the car, and he's not coming out of the house. To this day, I wish I would have gotten the car and just drove home and left him there. But at that point in my healing, I was too concerned about how I would look, because I knew that if I did that, he would say, oh, she just left me here at this party, and all I wanted to do was help and clean up. So I was left having to, at 1 a.m, when I had a migraine headache, I was forced to help clean up this party for this person who had more money. And that's not even the point. The point was, this person didn't even need our help. My ex never would have offered help to anyone. But he did that night, and you want to know why? Because he knew it would directly affect me and hurt me. So we spent 2 hours that night, and I helped. I put the headache away. I just put my head down, and I washed dishes, and I picked up lawn chairs, and I picked up garbage till almost dusk. And then we went home that night, and he fell asleep and slept all Sunday, while I was left with a migraine that wouldn't leave. I couldn't sleep. And when I tried to ask him about it the next day, he told me that I just like to use my health issues to get out of work. Do you see what I'm saying? You cannot win with these people, and they will twist every scenario. And what you need to continue to do is realize the games and the lies. The mask that they wear for other people, they don't see the mask because it suits them. Don't you see? This person just thought, wow, they're so nice. We put this party on for them, and then they stay till the dawn helping us clean up. So he came out looking like a rose. I probably came out looking not so good because I had a headache, and everything that I did was complete misery for me. Every lawn chair I had to pick up, every time I had to bend over and pick up something, it was just excruciating. But I was left having to do it to save face. That was the last time I did that. After that, if I didn't feel good, I didn't care. I didn't care what anyone thought. One time I was laying in bed with a migraine, which, oddly enough, at about 2 years after being with my ex and healing, I don't suffer with migraines anymore. Like, maybe if I get a really bad cold, I'll get a migraine. But I was getting them daily with this person. And what I came to realize was that when I started standing my ground, I had a migraine one time that was just terrible, and my stepdaughter was coming over with her son. And I saw these people quite often. So I just said, tell her I'm going to be lying down. If I feel better, I'll come down and visit, but I have a headache. My narcissist husband slammed the door. Then he went downstairs and he turned on music, like he would always do whatever he could. And then he would tell them, oh, she doesn't want to visit with you. Because I would get confronted later. Why didn't you want to visit when I brought my son over? Didn't your dad tell you I had a bad headache? No, he just said you were upstairs and you didn't want to talk to me. So the games that they play and the masks that they wear are very, very well orchestrated. And it's hard to wrap your head around it because it's not something you would ever do. You would never in a million years sit and plot and find ways to bring another person down. Lies, manipulation. Nobody with God's light would do such a thing. So what I want to tell you today is that don't kick yourself for falling for the narcissist. Their mask, the false reality. Because anyone that can play a false reality for 3 years, like my ex literally played a false reality for nearly 3 years. And as I look back, do I see some things that should have nodded me off? Yes. There was definitely some red flags that as I look back, I think, oh yeah, that was an inkling of the things that were to come. But they were so subtle at the time that they seemed like human error. You know what I mean? Like a good person who just slipped up a little bit. And I think that it's really important for anyone that is trying to realize that they've gotten themselves into a narcissistic relationship and that they are feeling defeated. Like maybe it's you, like maybe you haven't understood how to be the right spouse or whatever it is. I want you to have some grace and some compassion for yourself because you were systematically tricked. And another thing that I want to tell you is most of these narcissists, they aren't very intelligent. And I'm not even saying that to be insulting. What I'm saying is emotionally and spiritually, they have no intelligence. They might be very smart, book smart, smart to the world. They might be able to identify how people behave and then mirror that very, very well. I mean, we have politicians that have tricked people for years with this skill. But I can tell you one thing. It was not your stupidity. It was not your lack of spirituality or connection with God. And it wasn't you being dumb. It was a person who lacked spiritual and emotional intelligence who was able to recognize the spiritual and emotional intelligence in you, and they want to utilize that. Because when you don't have that, it's a very sad life. They won't admit it. They will walk around acting like they love their life, they love what they do. But I'll tell you something. You cannot be content and happy without that spark in you. You can't. I know for a fact. Because when he tried to take that spark from me and destroy me on every level, and mind you, without leaving any evidence, right? What evidence could I have provided to anyone to prove what he was doing? None. And that's the trickery. That's how they deceive you is, okay, if I'm such a terrible person, what did I do? Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have food to eat? Do you have bruises on you? See what I mean? So my message to you today is give yourself grace and know that more and more people are being fooled by narcissists. They are all over the place today. And you'll find them in so many different areas of your life. And some people are able to navigate narcissists very well because perhaps they were given the the ability or the tools to navigate that type of environment. But perhaps you're like me where you were raised in a family full of narcissists and you have been told your whole life that you are weird and different and that the way that you feel with your emotions and your empathy is just weakness. I was told that my whole life. You being emotional is a weakness. You are needy, you are weak, you are vulnerable, and you need others to make decisions for you. And when you're established that way in your life, you can work at overcoming that, but until you break that cycle and really understand that you were never given the tools to mature your spiritual and your emotional intelligence in a way to recognize those that don't have it, you are very susceptible to falling into a relationship with a narcissist because you have been groomed. And I need to explain something to you that narcissism is not an individual. It is a spirit, it's an entity, it's a darkness, and it works across the globe. And the people that you see doing horrific things to children, starting wars, abusiveness, that is the same entity that lives within the narcissist that tells you that you're weak and abuses you and emotionally and physically and spiritually and financially tears you apart while walking around with a big smile, acting like they're just the best thing since sliced bread. They will look for the people in this world that are the givers, that have been groomed by that spirit to believe that that's all you deserve. And the thing about it is, you may have been in an environment like that as you grew up, where you were surrounded by narcissists who told you that you were less than. And you always knew that you were more. But the problem is that when you are raised that way, and then you encounter that with every relationship and every job, that dark entity is then able to start to convince you, maybe it is you. Wait a minute. How could it be that that my family, my jobs, people at school, my friends, like, how could it be that this many narcissists cross my path? It's got to be me. Well, you know what? It kind of is, but it's not your fault. It's your light. And it's the fact that the narcissist, evil entity, whatever it is, whatever name that it goes by, that we call narcissism, that entity has been trying to attack you your whole life. So let that sink in for a minute. Why in the world would a dark entity decide to pick on me, and I'm just a newborn baby? Or I'm just a little girl in this family? Or I'm just this kid trying to go to school without getting bullied? Or I'm just looking to get married and have a family like everybody else is? Why is it that no matter how hard I try, I'm drawn to the narcissist? It's not you. It's that dark entity utilizing narcissists to cross your path and come your way. What's the good news then? The good news is that you are very important. How important must you be that the dark entities have to send a legion of narcissists to attack you? Let me tell you, my friend, you have a very important mission in this world. And the other thing that dark entity will do is, when you start to realize this, it will work extra hard to bring you down, to put you in situations where you feel like leaving that narcissist was the worst thing you could have done. When I left my narcissist, I struggled in every avenue of my life. My family, my health, my finances, my home, my work, everything suffered. I came under attack like never before. But you know what kept me going? I wasn't under the narcissist's thumb. These hardships came to me, and I was able to focus on me and my connection with Source. I didn't have that narcissist constantly convincing me that I was less than, that I needed him. And I'll tell you, it took me a long, long time to leave my narcissist mother. I would leave for years. I would move away. She'd move closer to me. I would pull away, and she would want to see my children. And I wouldn't want to deny them of their grandmother, so I'd let her back in. And I'm telling you from experience that when I would be away from her physically, where I would maybe talk to her once a month on the phone and that was it, my life would be going so well. So well. And then she'd suck me back in, and I would allow it. And I allowed it because, let's face it, it was my mother. And everyone was telling me, but that's your mother. Society told me that's your mother. I didn't understand just how the dark entities were utilizing the narcissists that were placed in my path. And it was a hard road. It took me almost 50 years to come to the realization and acceptance of the fact that the woman that brought me into this world, who I have tried to love and love and love my whole life, was incapable of loving me. Incapable. Stop expecting these people to do what they're incapable of. So my message to you today is this. Yes, they wear a mask. They wear a damn good mask. It is so believable that you, in your kindness, gave that person love more than they ever deserved, and don't ever regret it either. When I first left my narcissist, and even with my mother's relationship, there was a long time where I was angry at myself. How could I have? How could I have exhausted myself to the point of being sick, of being emotionally, financially, everything just drained, giving to these people? But God showed me that what I did was I never stopped being me. I never stopped showing the world the love of Christ. Did I get abused? Did I tolerate it for too long? Absolutely. And do I have accountability for that? Absolutely. It's my responsibility to protect that spirit that God gave me. You have got to be very discerning in this world in who you give your light to. And that was where I failed. I thought, you just gotta love more. The songs say it. All you need is love. When I had my wedding vows, love conquers all. The whole spiritual Bible verse about love was read at our wedding, about what is love. I kept my vows. I kept loving these people when they didn't deserve it. And for that, I will never be apologetic. I might look at it and say, wow, I got used and abused. But what God showed me in that was you never stopped. You didn't let those people change you and create another evil person. And boy, they tried. They certainly tried. And the other thing that God showed me too was that I didn't have to stop being myself. As a matter of fact, I needed to be more of myself. I needed to be more needy. I needed to be more empathetic. And I needed to be more full of love. And you know what? They hate it. When I went to my divorce hearing, I didn't sit there meek and mild and sad. I came in with a smile on my face because that's who I am. I show the world my light. And I wasn't going to let him deflate that. And I have a picture that I took, and I actually deleted it now because for my sanity. But I went to court. A friend went with me. She was very kind, and she said, I want to support you, so I'm going to be in the room with you. I'll be in the back of the court. And she took a picture of my ex who was sitting in court, with me, and I was up at the stand. It was my turn to talk. And I saw him do this, but she actually took a picture of it. He had his eyes shut. He looked like he was sleeping. He couldn't look at me. He could not look at me in court. And that's why I stood up there and I showed my light and I smiled and I testified and I did what I was supposed to do. And he couldn't look at the power of God. That spoke volumes to me. I had won. I defeated that demon. You are powerful, my friend. Don't let the mask fool you any longer. That mask is so facilitated in such a devious, horrible way that it's just pure trickery from the devil. And you can overcome it, and you will overcome it. And I'm not saying it's not going to be tough, but it is way better than dealing with that narcissist for the rest of your life. I know you can do it. And I know if you're going through it, it's so freaking hard. It is so hard. And you may feel like everyone's leaving you and your friends and your your whole life is disintegrating, because it kind of is, because you were living a facade, a prison that was built by the devil. And getting out of it isn't easy. You're going to have to trudge through the mud, climb the walls, get cut up by the barbed wire, but you will get free. You will get free. And you will look back at that time and eventually say, what a wonderful, beautiful lesson that I had to learn. God will take everything negative in this world and turn it around for you. And every heartache and every deceptive, mean thing that the devil has put you through, God is going to reward you tenfold. And the people that put you through that, they're going to have their karma too. And this isn't about regret. This is about retribution. This is about the scales of justice, spiritual justice. So don't beat yourself up if you got fooled by the mask, because that's what the devil is a master of. Master manipulator, master deceiver. He's dumb. He doesn't have God's light. But what he does have is the ability to deceive. That is his true identity. So don't feel defeated by that, because what you have done by discovering the mask is you've defeated the demon, and he's not happy with you. But we have authority in Christ over these demons. And when you pull your authority back, you have slayed the demon, my friend. You are a demon slayer. I love you. It's time for you to love you. Christ loves you. God loves you. And that Spirit of God is in you. And that's all you need. Thanks so much. And if this rings true for you, and if you're still listening, please like, subscribe, and share, because we can conquer this evil in this world and make it a better world. I know we can. That's why God put you through this, so that you could be an expert demon slayer. Thanks, guys. I love you.